Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Welcome to The Ray Taylor Show, where I bring you the reviews of the latest movies and TV shows, as well as classic and foreign films. I'm your host, Ray Taylor, and on this podcast, I'll be talking about all things film and television. Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or want to know if that blockbuster is worth the trip to the theater, or just want to hear my thoughts on a classic or foreign film, I've got you covered. So join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for new episodes, and let's dive into the world of film and television together. On today's episode, I am talking about the classic pre-code horror film Frankenstein from 1931, directed by James Whale, written by Garrett Fort, Francis Edward Farrow, starring Colin Clive and Boris Karloff. This movie, Dr. Henry Frankenstein is obsessed with assembling a living being from parts of several exhumed corpses. Despite never having watched this movie before, I had watched it this week. Obviously, I've seen all of the iconic scenes that are from this movie. And even in this watch, those scenes and how they play out truly stand out. There are some epic scenes. Amazing performances. But the rest of the movie, in my opinion, kind of slow and wasn't really into it. But it's a classic for a reason, and it's only 70 minutes long. So it's one thing I do enjoy. I watched a bunch of the pre-code horror films. For Sunday, I'm releasing an episode Top 5, where I rank movies. And so I watched probably close to 20 pre-code horror movies, which are movies that came out between the time when film started doing sound and before they implemented the Hays Code, which was a restriction on, implying sexual content or implying certain. They just became very much more conservative. Movies had to follow a strict code. I think it was 1934. The Hays Code was implemented before the MPAA and all that kind of stuff. So, kind of a very unique time in film history. A lot of classic horror films like Frankenstein, the other Universal monsters like The Invisible Man, Dracula, The Mummy. All of these movies were released in this time as well. And I wanted to talk about one of them, one of the 20, and I chose to talk about this one because it is so iconic. I've heard The Bride of Frankenstein is actually even better. So, maybe I'll do a series where I just watch all of them. Who knows? I'm sure there's many, many Frankenstein movies out there. But this one, definitely one of the most, came out in 1931, one of the most iconic horror films ever made, based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, which I think is a cool name. Directed by James Whale, as I said, produced by Universal Pictures. And it's a seminal film in the horror genre and has had profound impact on popular culture. The film tells the story of Dr. Henry Frankenstein, a passionate scientist who becomes obsessed with the idea of reanimating the dead. With the help of his hunchback assistant, Fritz, he collects body parts from various sources and assembles a humanoid creature. Using a powerful electrical storm, Frankenstein brings the creature to life, but soon realizes that he's created a monster. The creature, confused and frightened, escaped into the countryside. While he's initially innocent and childlike, the fearful reactions of villagers and a series of tragic events lead him down a path of violence. The climax of this film sees an intense confrontation between Dr. Frankenstein, the monster, and the enraged villagers. The role of the monster, played by Boris Karloff, is one of the most iconic in film history. Karloff's portrayal, with his sunken eyes, flat head, and heavy boots has become definitive imagery of Frankenstein monster. Even though it differs from Shelley's original description, I would love to know what he was originally described to look like, because it is true, the look of Frankenstein is always this look. The flat head, the bolts sticking out of the neck, the heavy shoes, whether it's other Frankenstein movies or even the Munsters, which the dad of that is basically Frankenstein, has that same look. It is iconic. Definitely every other Frankenstein, for the most part, tries to make it look very similar. Let's take a quick break from the podcast because I want to talk about my new limited edition signed and numbered prints for The Many Faces, my ongoing ink painting series of abstract and surreal faces. You can now get limited edition signed and numbered prints. Only 5 prints are available for each image, and they are printed high quality on the same paper that I used to print, or to paint, I should say, the original painting. So high quality paper, the highest print quality, and all made by me in-house. I make them, I print them, I double check, I sign them, I number them, all of that stuff. Sizes and prices. 4x6 is $5, 6x9 is $10, and the 9x12s are $20. That is for the prints themselves. And of course, you can always go to inspireddisorder.com and collect the original artwork as well. Take your walls to the next level with these limited edition art prints. Once they're gone, they're gone. Go to inspireddisorder.com and shop the collection and take your walls to the next level. Now let's get back to the show. The makeup design for the monster, created by Jack Pierce, is legendary. The look has been replicated, parodied, and paid homage to in countless movies and TV shows and other media. Like the novel, the film grapples with themes of playing God, the responsibilities of creation, and the societal rejection of the quote-unquote other. However, the movie simplifies and alters many aspects of the book's narrative and the characters. The film includes some of the most iconic lines in cinema, such as Dr. Frankenstein's exclamation, "He's alive! He's alive!" And that scene, of course, when the creature first shows signs of life. An amazing scene. Amazing acting in that moment as well. I was like surprised how powerful the performance was in that moment. The film's score, though uncredited, added to the atmosphere and was crucial in establishing the mood of the film. Frankenstein was a massive success upon its release and solidified Universal Pictures' reputation for horror. Following the success of Dracula, released the same year, the movie spawned numerous sequels and was instrumental in launching the Universal Monsters series of films, which they tried to reboot with the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, and was going to be the Reitvelt. I forget the Nicolas Cage Dracula movie was supposed to be, initially was going to be part of that reboot of the monster universe. But since the Tom Cruise film flopped, they changed the Nicolas Cage Dracula movie to be more of an action comedy, which I loved that movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I haven't seen the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, but I thought the Reitvelt was a lot of fun. Its impact on popular culture is vast. The images of Karloff's monster with the bolts in his neck and outstretched arms is instantly recognizable around the world. I do want to talk a few spoilers, a few moments, specific moments. So if you haven't seen this movie, I don't blame you. But if you don't want to be spoiled, here's a little spoiler warning for you. The way this movie opens where it's being presented, like a presenter comes out and introduces and warns the audience that they're about to see something horrible. That was a nice touch. I mean, it's interesting after watching all of the pre-code horror movies. This isn't one of the more scarier ones for sure, but it is fun. It is a fun one. The collecting of the body parts I thought was pretty great. You know, digging up recently buried people, grave robbing, waiting for the funeral to end to go dig the body up, taking a body or attempting to take a body that was hung, but it was no good. They need a fresh brain. So he goes to steal a brain from the school, the hunchback guy. And he gets the normal brain, but drops it. So ends up taking the abnormal brain, the brain of the criminal, which, you know, it's interesting. The fact that, like, so he puts this monster together, and there's the scene with, like, his wife, right? He's not around. Dr. Frankenstein's busy. He's caught up in his work. He's passionate about this project. The university that he used to work for, that he, you know, rejected for following these things, they all show up to his house, and they're like acting like they show up uninvited, and they're acting like they're intruding on this dude's space, and they're acting like they're justified in doing so. Let's take a quick break from the podcast because I want to talk about a way for you to make a little bit of extra money by making content for companies, for brands, for products. It's really easy to make user-generated content. You can check out all the content that I've made over at inspireddisorder.com/UGC. That is also where you can go sign up through Join Brands, which is the exact service that I use to get connected with different brands to make content, whether it's selfies with products, how-to videos, unboxing videos, product reviews, all kinds of stuff. It's really easy to do, a great way to make extra money, and you get free products while you're doing it. So go to inspireddisorder.com/UGC, check out all of the content that I've made, and sign up to make your own content. You don't have to have a massive audience on social media. You don't even have to have social media accounts. You just have to be able to make content, take pictures, video, that kind of stuff. It's great. It's easy. Go check it out, inspireddisorder.com/UGC. And now let's get back to the show. I don't know. I was on the side of Dr. Frankenstein, right? He's busy trying to work on something. He's passionate about this thing that he thinks is going to change the world. Obviously, would change the world if you could reanimate dead, you know, create life, all that stuff. But, like, I know what it's like when I'm passionate about I'm working on a project, and if somebody just showed up at my doorstep the day I'm, like, finishing the project, I would be so pissed. I'd be like, get out. I would be acting just the same way this doctor was when everybody shows up to his little castle when he's about to turn the lights on for his monster. And they act like he's the one with the problem. I mean, he kind of has a problem, but, you know, I sympathize with Dr. Frankenstein. Right? It's like you going over there trying to boss him around in his own house, barging into his house, showing no respect, going through his stuff, like going snooping around his science stuff. It's like, get out of here. Like you you're just like, you show up out of nowhere, you barge inside, and now you're snooping through my stuff, like showing him no respect whatsoever. And then you get the great he's alive scene, amazing performance. Then later on, then a lot of this movie is pretty slow, and I don't really care. The scene where he throws the girl in the lake, I always thought that scene went differently. But, you know, then you had the town tracking him down with torches and all that kind of stuff. You know, overall, the film's themes, aesthetic, and characters have influenced countless other works in a variety of mediums over the decades. Frankenstein has been recognized not just as a cornerstone of horror cinema, but also as an important film in the history of cinema overall. It's been preserved in the United States National Film Registry and continues to be studied, celebrated, and enjoyed by new generations. And like I said, I've heard Bride of Frankenstein's even better, so maybe I'll check that one out and review it. Who knows? But, I enjoyed aspects of this movie. It's the chances of this making my list on Sunday's top 5 episode, let's just say, spoilers, don't hold your breath. Because there were some great movies. Like, I'm excited to share my top 5 list because there's some great horror movies that came out back then. It was really tough to whittle it down to only 5. But this movie, despite the fact it has iconic moments, some great performances in those moments, overall, this is not the best. So anyway, regardless, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of The Ray Taylor Show. I do hope you enjoyed my thoughts on Frankenstein. Don't forget to tune in on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for more episodes, new movies, and TV show reviews. And join the conversation by leaving a comment or rating on your favorite podcast platform or over on youtube.com/inspireddisorder. And just as the film Frankenstein, it has a short run time, so does this episode. So until next time, enjoy the show. Subscribe to The Ray Taylor Show on YouTube and everywhere podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Purchase Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.